When you break down what E3 really is, it wouldn't work in any other industry. Moviegoers show up late to skip the previews, there's no concert that just announces the album's coming soon, and there aren't any livestream events where they tease the newest books, because at its core, E3 is just a bunch of advertisements. You can try and say that it's more than that, but I challenge you to describe it to anyone who doesn't play video games and see what they say. But it doesn't really matter what they say, because for us, E3 is magical. The convention only came about because of how poorly the video game industry was treated at bigger tech conferences like CES. Their focus was more on TVs and camcorders, with video games being shoved in the back. Pat Farrell had the idea to create a video game specific trade show and got to work. I had a chance to talk to Pat, and I asked him what specifically made him start E3, and he had this to say.
E3 was really formed because of the arrogance of CES. They were sticking us in the back of we were in tents in the back of the Las Vegas Convention Center. We had porta potties. They stuck a little hamburger station out there. And you know, it was like a 300-yard walk to get to the main building. And I sent my VP of marketing and I said to her, look, check out really how pissed off people are. She said, oh my God, they're furious. And I said, you know what, let's launch our own show.
All the work he put in paid off. The first E3 was held May 11th through May 13th, 1995 in Los Angeles, California. Over 40,000 people attended, making it the biggest event in the video game industry at the time. They managed to get all the big names, Nintendo, Sony, and Sega. At the time, that was all you needed. While the show floor hasn't changed much, the conferences have. These big companies mostly used E3 as a way to sell consoles and video games to retailers. They showed off some trailers, but it had more of a investors meeting vibe to it, talking about sales figures, budgets, and marketing runs. The show catered more to the business side while still giving the press something to write about and get gamers excited. As the years went on, and as the shows got more and more popular, the conferences started to lean more into impressing journalists rather than retail buyers. Things started to transition to mostly trailers and big announcements, competing with other showcases to be on the front page of a video game magazine or website. As 6 years passed, with an annual show for each year, Microsoft attended its first E3 in 2001. They gave us our first look at the Xbox, and of course, our first look at the Halo we know today. With another competitor on the field, companies knew they had to step up their presentation game. E3 always got people excited, but everything changed when they started broadcasting their conferences. The tone of the show changed. It wasn't just for journalists anymore, but regular people like you and me. And it felt more personal, like you were invited to the conference. Most companies' presentations were about an hour long, showing off the best the console had to offer, with developers coming on to talk about what we were in store for with their next game. To me, the rapid-fire announcements were what made E3 really special. You barely even had time to discuss what you just saw before another jaw-dropping trailer came out of nowhere. The excitement and hype from reveal after reveal is unmatched compared to any other gaming event. So many jaw-dropping moments in E3's history, but my personal favorite was the reveal of Halo Infinite. And I chose that clip for a reason. Those crowd reactions are a big part of what gets you so hyped up. There is this energy that builds up when something highly anticipated is being revealed that just explodes when you finally get to see it come to life, and the feeling is magical. In my experience, nothing amplifies happiness and hype more than sharing it with others. E3 was always my friends and I's summer tradition. We treated it like the Super Bowl of gaming, taking off work or school and ordering more food than anyone could handle. Usually 3 straight days of LAN gaming and getting excited at announcements. But when I say we treated it like the Super Bowl of gaming, I meant that in the literal sense. It's never acknowledged by any of the big companies that show up, but everyone that watches them declares a winner of E3. Nintendo, PlayStation, and Xbox all had conferences around the same length, and my friends and I would spend hours debating who had the best show, trailers, surprises, and whatever else we deemed important. It was a huge added bonus to the fun that E3 brought, and it was your job to debate your reasoning on why you think whoever won E3 that year. But then, things started to change. Nintendo went from live presentations to Nintendo Directs. conference. A pre-made video that plays instead of a live conference. It was disappointing to say the least. That interactivity of the crowd's reaction is one of the biggest differences between E3 being this big event and just posting the video on YouTube. More and more companies started to pre-record videos rather than broadcast a live show. And only a few years later, in 2019, Sony announced that they would be missing E3 for the first time in the convention's history, and instead would have their own show at a later time. This was a big blow. Even to someone who has never owned a PlayStation console, their presence was appreciated during this event. Not only did they have a ton of cool first and third-party games to show off, but now that Xbox was the only one left of the big three doing a live conference, it lost its fun of having a winner. And unfortunately, with COVID-19, E3 2020 had to be canceled in its entirety. While I appreciate the efforts and everyone's struggle with the pandemic, I worry that developers will want to continue the way they're announcing games this year. One at a time over a longer period of time lets less games get swallowed up by other big announcements, but having something with a concrete date and tons of announcements gives you something to look forward to. Because E3 is more than just an event, it's an experience, and that's something an individual conference can't replicate.